Voltron Network.
Ah, wine from the bottle. That's like the sign of a wino, a professional wino.
No, someone who just doesn't want to do washing up.
Someone who's just like, I don't care. I just need to get the wine into my system.
Sufficient. They should do wine IVs. Something you can just.
I was just going to say, do you want to inject it straight in?
Just have the bag just right by the couch. Yeah, that'd be nice. What's good, guys? Welcome back to Talking at the Movies. I'm Eddie Antonio.
And I'm Mo.
What's good, Mo? How you doing?
It's Merry Christmas. It's that time between like Christmas and New Year's where every day you wake up and you think, do I have work today? Like, what time is it? Like yesterday, I literally woke up at like 12:30 in the afternoon. I was just like, what?
So good. So good. So good. We ain't got much to chat about this week. We're going to do a little bit of what we've been watching, a little bit of trailers, but we're going to be focusing on two films, and that's The Matrix Resurrections and Don't Look Up, you Adam McCabe joint. So, start. Mo, we've been watching.
Well, I took your advice. I decided I would try out Red Notice with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. And I've got to say, Eddie, I think like your biased hatred towards The Rock may cloud your judgment. I'm not going to say this was a good film.
It's terrible, but I found it watchable at the same time.
Like it was a very watchable film. It is rubbish. It's like a bad version of National Treasure or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. But time went.
Ryan Reynolds is really good at it.
Kept it going. Yeah.
I thought The Rock was really good at it as well.
Oh, he's just The Rock. He just turns up and whatever.
I'm not sure I buy the romance.
No,
between
me and Uz had a long conversation about this. The Rock has never had romantic chemistry with any female he's ever been with on screen. He just can't do it. For a guy that like screams machismo and alpha maleism, he just can't click with any female because it's all about, if it was a mirror in front of him that he had to kiss, boom, sparks on the screen. Like, it'd be crazy, bro. Nope, can't do it.
Yeah. I was gonna say, at least I managed to get through the whole film, unlike the other Ryan Reynolds one they did. Was it The Underground 6 or something?
The better film, yeah.
The better film. Oh my lord! I had to turn that off after like 15 minutes.
You're having a bad day. That's what it was. You had a bad day. Cat's probably pissed on the floor saying.
Now, I didn't actually get round to finishing it, not because it wasn't a great film, but because we literally just ran out of time. But I was just watching Being the Ricardos with Nicole Kidman and I can't remember who played Desi Arnaz actually. Was it Javier Bardem? Maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
The film itself. I Love Lucy. The film itself is not well cut. It's like there's a really interesting film in there, but they keep doing these like flashbacks. And I've got a real feeling that if they actually played the movie in a chronological order, it would just play better. So the whole film is like basically set in 1 week. And it's supposed to be like a really bad week for the Ricardos. And essentially what's happened is somebody's come out and is accusing or hinting, not directly accusing, Lucille Ball of being a communist. Transpires like her grandfather was a communist, and that she accidentally, or so her husband says, ticked the communist box on the ballot box like years ago or whatever. And then there's
the witch hunt that was everybody getting accused of being communist. Basically shows you that we've been just dumb and just shitty society
like, for you just forever. But like, there's some amazing like facts. I in fact, while watching the film, started reading about it. Like, this was like the like highest rated TV show in America, right? And I haven't been able to find confirmation about this on the net, but like in the film, they go, department stores used to stay open late on Monday nights for late night shopping. They changed it to Thursday night because nobody was going out. They were all watching I Love Lucy.
Well, think about it. Wasn't as many. There was no cable back then. Because you remember, even over here, when there's only 5 channels, how crazy shows like EastEnders and Coronation Street would just capture the nation.
But at that point, you could record shows. Like with this, obviously, there's none of that sort of stuff. You either watch it or you don't, right? 90s? No, I Love Lucy. Yeah, we had a VHS in the 80s.
Oh, if you had a bit of money, if you're middle class. I didn't know.
Middle class?
Yeah.
I can't remember going to anyone's house in the 80s that didn't have a VHS recorder. Especially towards the end of the 80s. Anyway, apparently, Also, like at that time, you couldn't do a live broadcast like the entire United States. You could only broadcast so far. So what they would do for other markets is they would literally get like a camera and point it at like a TV screen, and they would capture like the live showing. And that's what would be used as the master for like other markets. Cool. And it was actually Desi Arnaz who came up with the idea that says, why don't we film the show with 3 cameras? Then the other 2 camera like reels, you can then send those out to other markets in better quality.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Can you imagine broadcast like their idea was like, we'll just point a camera at the TV and make a reel out of that.
Another thing that baffles me about those days with television, they had they couldn't think ahead in terms of a show being precious. They made it and it was considered disposable. So all of these old shows, especially back from like the mid 70s and back, they would often just record over or just dispose of films like Doctor Who's, all the seasons that were just missing.
I think it does depend on who, where, and when. Because like I Love Lucy's just recently been like they've scanned in all the original films, like give it a high def transfer. But you're absolutely right. Yeah. There are places where literally like they either didn't care. I've even heard of like because nitrate, what film used to be made out, was also extremely flammable. Like whole warehouses just going up in flames.
Dude, how many times have you seen on the news someone like discovered a complete undestroyed episode or a reel of a movie? Like that's how they found like a new version of Nosferatu or something in somebody's attic. That was like amazing. Well, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So
I guess they didn't have the nostalgia back then for old stuff because there was no old stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like we have now.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. So interesting film to watch. I just kind of feel it like Aaron Sorkin kind of missed the mark on it. But maybe in the last half an hour or something, I might change my mind, but I very much doubt it.
Did it have his trademark Aaron Sorkin dialogue that, you know?
No, it didn't. Like I was listening to it, and you know what? It could have been written by anyone. It really didn't really feel like it was Sorkin.
Dang, okay. Right.
Yeah. And I also finally got round to watching James Bond: No Time to Die. I did watch Spectre before this because that was the one I hadn't seen. Spectre, I actually ended up quite enjoying. I know maybe because it's years after all the negativity. But it actually wasn't a bad film.
Yeah.
No Time to Die, on the other hand, I really felt like it just went on and on and on.
Really?
And like you realize like your villain doesn't even turn up until halfway through the film.
Yeah. I didn't like. He was the weaker point for me. He was a
terrible villain.
Too old school James Bondy villain. I think that's how he's playing it.
He was old school, but not old school enough at the same time. Do you know what I mean? He was like a very understated villain,
mustache twirling villain. You know,
exactly.
Over the top.
And something for that film just did not click for me. I don't know what it was. And somehow I'd managed to avoid like what happens at the end. And you're kind of, on the one hand, you're thinking, oh, they're going to do it. There's something original. I guess they haven't done it before. But then you're thinking, but he's just going to be back again. And it even says it in the end credits. Like, James Bond will return.
Yeah, but it won't be Craig. So it's basically just, I think they pretty much confirmed it's just starting again now. So it's like, because he is literally, his name is James Bond, isn't it? So it's like,
he's literally, Like that whole, like we used to think that's like a code name or whatever. No, he literally is James Bond. I did like all the little stuff between him and the other 007. The infighting for the name, like who's 00, which one are you?
It's the one everyone was crying about, thinking that she's taking over. It's like, it can't be, but you know, she turned out to be cool. Do you see what I'm saying about Anna Diaz, whatever her name is, hot girl?
Oh,
how it's just like almost a pointless. It's like a cameo because it's like one scene.
I did not mind that,
and then she's gone. It's like, oh, thanks for working. Good working with you. Bye.
I did like that because that whole, was it in Cuba, right? It just looked absolutely gorgeous. It was beautifully lit. It looked absolutely stunning. But Eddie, she was in that dress. That's all she needed to do.
Yeah, I know. And she might end up being a star of a spin-off things. But you know,
I mean, I gotta say that dress seems to defy logic of like gravity, physics, whatever, right? No, I thought her little bit was cool. I think the film itself just was a little bit disjointed.
Yeah, Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's crazy long. It did go on and on. It felt like all day.
Yeah. I did watch Matrix Reloaded and Revolution, but I'll wait till we discuss
Yeah.
the Matrix stuff. And I guess the only other thing is Star Trek Discovery. They've just announced apparently this week's episode they're going to go on hiatus. So they're going to come back in February. Star Trek Prodigy is going to come back the following week, but this last week's episode was actually pretty good because they essentially go into the void itself. And essentially they end up in a nothingness, and they've got to figure out how to like escape it.
It's the thing that's spreading across.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They decide to go like right into it, right? But when they get there, there's no sense, like their sensors aren't picking up anything. Like literally, like they're in a black void and everything is gone.
Why would they decide to do that? What logical? That sounds like madness. There's a void swallowing the universe. Let's just jump into it and see what's in there.
Well, essentially, they're trying to figure out like where it's come from, right? They now know that it's a man-made thing, and what they've discovered after this episode, spoiler alert, is the little molecules that they did manage to discover come from the galactic barrier. So the galactic barrier is always this little thing that they used to mention in like the original series like once or twice, and then it was completely forgotten about because obviously it's a very stupid concept.
The galactic barrier? What, the edges of the space or something?
Exactly. There's like a barrier that you can't go through, right? Now apparently, like in Star Trek 5, the Final Frontier, where they go searching for God, they go through the galactic barrier.
What about that? Searching for God. Jesus Christ. Ask me why I hate those films.
The search for God, man. Come on. What could be a bigger storyline? I mean, it's got the best line of any film ever. Like, excuse me, what does God need with a starship?
There's that. I always thought it was Khan.
That's Wrath, but like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought that was the greatest line ever for
no.
Trekkie.
What does God need with a starship? And then I think all the other stuff, Dexter, Always Sunny. You didn't even watch The Expanse, Eddie. And you know what I found out? The Expanse. I believe there's only 6 episodes this season.
Oh my God! So how many we got left?
So I just watched the 3rd one today.
Oh, so halfway.
We've got 3 more. Yeah.
Apparently, there's these other little mini.
Oh yes, webisodes.
That you have to watch in the X-ray of Amazon Prime.
Yes. Apparently, you can only watch them online or on your phone. Like if you go on the app on your TV or whatever, they're just not there.
Yeah, so we have to kind of do that to kind of fill in a few of the gaps here and there. So I'm gonna have to catch up with that this week as well.
Yes. But it was a very good episode. Like, let's put it this way: stuff's getting real.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot. Shame on me. For me, kept it simple this week, but I did watch Kingsman or The Kingsman.
Ooh, how bad on the bad scale is it?
It's not. It's just messy. The problem with it is that in order to come up with a reason to start the Kingsman organization, this independent spy organization that Kingsman is, they decided to attach it to the First World War and all of the events that culminated in the cause of that. But they tried to cram in all of that world history of what was happening at that time into the first 40 minutes. And it's so convoluted and it's badly written that it just feels messy. See the whole the history of the royal family, the grandchildren, I believe, of Queen Victoria, who ended up being, the ruler of England, Germany, and Russia, and they're infighting with each other, which caused, kicks off some of the war as well, and the assassinating of Franz Ferdinand and getting Rasputin, and that's what fucks it up because it's just hard to follow. Even though I love history and I love all that background, but they just lay it out in such a messy way that I think that's what throws people off. Because once that's dealt with after like 30, 40 minutes, once they meet Rasputin, the film kind of kicks off and it's fun after that. It's actually a fun movie. But because of that first 40 minutes, it's like, oh.
So is there no fun in those first 40 minutes? Is there no comedy, no nothing? I've heard like somebody was comparing, he goes like that first 40 minutes is almost like a serious World War I movie.
Yeah. It feels like, sometimes with films, after the movie, they release like a little short something that's sets up the world that they add on a Blu-ray or put online or something. It feels like they had that and they just decided to put it in the film at the beginning, and it fucks up the whole film.
So it kind of sounds like Matthew Vaughn probably needed a bit of reining in on this one.
He always does, though, man. You can tell it with the second Kingsman. He kind of got he gets carried away, even though that is still a fun film. He gets definitely carried away. It's better when there's some restraints there. But yeah, I just needed someone else to go over that script, man, and fix up that first 40. But once you get past that, once they meet Rasputin, it gets pretty fun. It gets pretty crazy. So it's a shame, though, because it hasn't done well. Because Spider-Man has just swallowed everything, swallowed the world.
Well, I mean, if you're going to risk going out to the cinema, there's only one film that you're really going to risk going out for, right?
Exactly. So and this doesn't even count as Kingsman 3. This is just a prequel.
Yep.
3 was in
spin-off
planning. It was, it was supposed to still be coming, but after how bad this is done, that could be in doubt. So
so that was supposed apparently there were headlines last week saying it's going to start filming in September. So you reckon that could be off the chopping block?
Possibly
on the chopping block,
given how bad this is done. Studio might feel like, well, we're gonna give you 100, 200 million for something that obviously no one gives a shit about anymore.
Yeah, oh dear.
So there was that. And then I checked out a strange little comedy that I keep hearing about. This came out at the beginning of the year called Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar.
Hold on, is this like two middle-aged old ladies?
Yeah. Two middle-aged women from like small town middle America that decide, they lose their job and decide they're just gonna go on like a crazy girls weekend in Vista Del Mar in Florida. And it's not what you expect, because you think it's just gonna be a regular little comedy with two middle-aged women, but it's like
it's not shit then.
It is fun. It ain't crazy funny, but it's like a cross between I don't know, whatever freaking comedy you can imagine of two middle-aged women doing shit.
Yeah.
And what was that bloody piss take of James Bond that came out? Michael Myers.
Oh, well, Mike Myers, you mean, not Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Austin Powers.
Yeah, it's basically those two types of comedies cramming together, because while they're on holiday, they kind of discover that there's this evil crime genius, also played by Kristen Wiig in crazy makeup, who, because of a childhood trauma that she experienced in Vista Del Mar, she wants to release a swarm of killer mosquitoes that are remote controlled to kill everybody, so she can have her revenge on what happened to her as a kid. And it just turns into this crazy, weird caper.
None of that's in the trailer, right?
Ew. Spoiler, but who gives a fuck? Yeah, it's nutty. It's nutty, but it's fun nutty. If you like Austin Powers, it's kind of in that tone. But no. Oh, you didn't even say. What do you give No Time to Die? Come on, ain't that bad.
I'd give it like a -3, not a -3, but like that's C minus. So a week 3, yes.
Week 3. I'll give probably the same to Barb and Star.
Yeah. And
probably the same to Kingsman as well.
Right.
Purely for after 40 minutes, the film that starts from that point on gets a 3. And then I checked out a comedy, an action movie, which I wish this script could have been sent back in time to John Woo when he was still in Hong Kong, because this could have been an amazing script for him to turn into an action film. Cop Shop. You remember we did the trailer for this a while ago.
Is this the
Gerard
chicken,
Butler.
Fried chicken? Oh, Gerard Butler.
No. Frank Grillo. He's the a mafia.
Oh yes. Is this the one where he gets locked up like in a small town or something? Yes.
And he stole some money from people he shouldn't have, cartels and shit. And Gerard Butler and a few other guys are sent after to get him. And it all takes place pretty much in this police precinct in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
In the middle of the desert, and it all just kicks off. And it's a fun. You don't expect it to be much, but because you have no expectations, it turns out to be a really fun action movie. And you think with comedy in there as well, and you think, damn, John Woo could have had a hell of a time with this type of script.
Was this one that went straight to digital? Then I take it.
It did pop up in cinemas. I remember seeing it on the listings in the olden.
All right, it seems to have like come and gone with like little to no fanfare then.
Too many other big films, man.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
But if you kind of want something to just chill and watch on a Saturday or Sunday on the couch, There's a bit of action in it and some comedy. This is one of those sort of films you want to check out, man. It's actually fun.
Right, might have to check this one out.
I'm gonna give that strong 3.5. Right. On the reserve, yeah, I can't, because if I was Spider-Man 4.5, it's got to be like a 3.5. Strong one.
Can I do one more film I completely forgot about? This is an Amazon film. It's called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things.
The hell?
This one actually flew right under the radar, but it's got a very similar premise to Palm Springs. Essentially, a guy is reliving the same day again and again and again, right? But it's more of a teenage movie, but like an independent kind of film as well. And he keeps reliving the same day again and again and again. And what he does is he's trying to get a date with this girl. So he keeps trying to do the perfect thing, like when he meets her, but it's not working. And then one day, he notices something different, something that hasn't happened before, and then he realizes there's somebody else reliving the same day again and again and again. And unlike Palm Springs, where they're trying to figure out an actual way out, these guys, they do this whole thing where they map out the entire day of all the wonderful things that are happening, and they make a map of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And is it good?
It's an okay kind. It does get good the longer it goes on, but it's very kind of arty-farty, uses a lot of sort of modern music that I've never heard of, which is not probably saying much because I've not heard a lot. Yeah, it's an interesting take. There is this whole thing about the girl herself. She essentially disappears every in the afternoon. She gets a phone call and she always just disappears, and for most of the film you don't know where she is and what she's doing and why she's going, and then when that gets revealed, that becomes a little bit more poignant, because he never wanted the day to end, but he suddenly realizes, I'm just reliving the same day again and again. It's never going to be Christmas again. I'm never going to see my mum again because she leaves for work before I wake up. And she's not there in the evenings. Whereas the girl, she's adamant. She never wants this day to end. She just wants it to just keep on going and going and going. And you kind of find out why. And it's actually a really, really good reason.
Okay. But is it worth watching though? The film as
it's
a
worth watching. Oh yeah, it's a proper little indie film. So it's very different from from Palm Springs, where it tries to give you that feel good type, that vibe.
I think Palm Springs kind of counts as an indie as well, though. To be honest, just on the other end of the spectrum. But yeah, it's a small, low budget,
a cheap, low budget. I wouldn't say indie. Whereas this really kind of has a lot of those sort of goes against the studio type thing.
Yeah. All right. So what do you give it?
I'd give this a 3 as well. I'd give this a stronger 3.
Stronger 3. Get into the big TV.
Right. We go Dexter.
Let's do it. All kicks off. Getting hunted in the woods after getting kidnapped last episode. I'm really liking this now, and I like the fact that he finally come out to the sun. Finally.
The Joker.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was just thinking, imagine if he'd just done that a little bit more, mate. You're gonna completely just rip that guy's whole face.
Yeah, or just 2 inches lower, around the neck.
Yeah, on the neck. Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't have to run through the woods for often.
Yeah, but then there would have been no episode then.
True. And you kind of needed the kid to realize that what's his face was a piece of shit, that he was gonna come out in his hunting gear to shoot him.
That was actually a really, really good couple of scenes with those two, right? So they go into the high school where they're doing the baseball, and the guy starts just I don't know what
being the father. Being the father he wished he knew that kid wanted, and you were starting to think that he was just going to turn him against Dex.
No, I'm talking more about the kid, where he kind of just starts having this whole hit me with another baseball. Hit me with another baseball.
Yeah. Because he knows he's a piece of shit deep down. And he wants the pain to feel alive.
This psycho fucker then takes him where they have some scotch, they have a heart-to-heart. He cooks him this whole meal. And then literally just walks out.
Out of the blue, just comes out. I'm thinking, they're going to be buddies for life. He's under his wing now. Yeah. We're going to hunt Dexter together. But no. It's fucking just, it was right. It was 0 to 60. That was a bit crazy.
It was weird and strange. And what about Mr. Old Hillbilly? Like the size of the gun that he's carrying around.
Man. It's fine when you're in the forest, man. But once you get into like a little building, that shit is it's gonna be a problem.
I'm loving it. I think there's only 2 episodes left according to the next week's preview, so I'm in for it. Unfortunately,
plus Dex's girlfriend, the sheriff, is clocking on to something which not many people have clocked onto at all, and that's the fact that he could be the Bay Harbor Butcher. The evidence is there.
We will now find out what he was actually guilty of.
Yeah. And it's like, how's that going to resolve itself? Is he just his next season, if there is going to be one, just going to be in a new town?
Everyone's going to be dead.
Is he going to kill her? Because he doesn't just kill people for the sake of it. Cause it's like,
I reckon if it comes down to him or survival.
Or do you reckon the boy might do it?
Oh, so obviously he's now starting to tell the boy.
The boy thinking he's protecting the dad by killing her.
Yeah. And they'll be like, "What did you do?"
Yeah, exactly. This goes against the rule. She knew. Yeah, thumbs up. Love Dex. Always Sunny.
It's Always Sunny.
This may be the worst season for me.
One episode was okay. The other episode was just like, that's not an Always Sunny. Like the carrying the body up a mountain or whatever it was. There were a few classic moments in there.
Yeah.
Like you could tell when they got to the top, and as soon as Matt kicks the bag, you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen now.
Yeah, fuck. Just seeing Charlie. You don't really want to see Charlie being real, being heartfelt.
Yeah.
Just don't. Unless it's about killing rats and how he feels bad, which is an old episode I saw the other day. Yeah, this whole season, I can't believe I'm saying this, but
it's been a bit disappointing, really, hasn't it? I don't think the episode prior to that wasn't too bad, with D getting stuck in the bog, the banshee, the waitress.
How? What was the reason why the waitress was there again?
Oh, she got an acting gig. She got the job that D was supposed to have.
That happened. So random.
And then all the stuff with Mac in the convent, right, where he's been spoken to by the other guy who's there, and he goes, "You're much like me," and then you kind of think, "Oh, okay, he's gay as well." Then talking, and
then he realized, the boys he likes are literal boys. Oh dear.
I thought that was incredibly funny when the penny finally dropped.
Yeah, I think it's just the feel of it. It just doesn't feel like there isn't as much humor there, but it doesn't also feel, because they're on an island. But they've done episodes where they've been in other places before, and it's still come off right. So I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure what the idea was with that last one, because that was just probably the least funniest one ever, almost.
Sad, shame.
Is this the start of the decline?
Could be.
Happens to every show at a certain point. Although with It's Always Sunny, they did go through there is a dip.
It was never for me though. You said that before, but I never felt that. I still enjoyed it, and I've gone back to those seasons, and I love them. They still make me laugh. They're still funny. Not like how this season was at all. Thumbs down.
Maybe you just need time to for the episodes to grow on you.
We'll see. I guess I'll give them a go in a year or two. Yeah. Was that it from this week?
Right, Hawkeye.
Oh,
the season final.
Yes, we finally see the man coming out of the shadows. Kingpin is back, baby.
Oh, what a performance!
Eat the shit out of Kate.
I just love the way she literally fires an arrow into him, right? And you don't know whether he's got a vest on or he's just so fat. He literally just he
bit of both
out.
Because I've also been rewatching. I didn't talk about what we'll be watching, but I've also been rewatching Daredevil, and he was always wearing a vest back then in those ones.
Right.
But in this one, it just seemed like it's just his body mass. It's just too much.
Yeah, I just love it. His whole portrayal. I'm so glad that somebody sat down and watched those original Netflix shows and said, we're never going to get a better portrayal of this character. We've just got to have this actor.
Yeah, because he mixes menace with moments of genuine heartfelt feeling, because you can see that he loved, call it Echo, I forget her real name, that the character is supposed to be, the deaf one. But yeah, he cares for her like a daughter, and these sort of touchy moments, but all comes down to it, he's
But yeah, but there's also the little things like the mannerisms, the grunting, the way he talks. Like
That's the menace.
For a man who is like so on top of his game when it comes to like brutality, he always sounds like he's just one wheeze away from a heart attack as well.
yeah, it's true. Do you think there's definitely padding there?
Oh yeah, it must be right.
But that's he has to put on. You must be annoying to have to shave your head all the time though. Whenever you have to come back as his character, but he loved the character. He was always saying, he was always campaigning about coming back.
So what happened to the character at the end?
Well, you know the rule, man. If it happens off camera, it didn't happen. You know, it's probably bounced off of him. This year.
Apparently, that is a comic book storyline, and he does survive. Apparently, in the comic books, that is.
And Vincent let slip in an interview about coming back. That he'll be back. He spoke to Feige about a number of Marvel projects, so that means that there could be other plans. So,
just going on a side tangent, have you heard like comments recently from Jessica Henwick, Colleen Wing from the Iron Fist? Yeah. So she apparently she turned down a role in Shang-Chi. And she went with the Matrix because she said that if she was in Shang-Chi, there was probably absolutely zero probability of like Colleen Wing ever returning. And she goes, she really, really loves that character and really wanted to hold out hope. And she goes, apparently, Charlie Cox has known for at least 2 years that he was coming back.
Yeah, she was saying he's known for a while. And I'm like, what? He's known for years. Like,
he's kept that quiet really, really well.
Damn. In this day and age, people can keep their mouth shut.
Yeah.
Is Colleen Wing ever coming back though? Colleen?
I would like to. I think she was like a very popular character.
I like the character and I like the actress, but I don't see them out of all those characters. She's got to be one of the least that they give a shit about.
Least recognizable, but I wonder if they would bring her into because apparently I've heard this week that apparently Charlie Cox may be turning up in a lot of like Disney Plus shows. So he may not be like in them the whole episode, the whole season.
Yeah,
but he'll be in them.
Well, it's supposed to be rumored She-Hulk, so that'd be the next big one. Yeah. But yeah, this is everybody's lawyer, superhero lawyer.
I guess he will play the role. Do you know what's her name? The character Claire Rosario Dawson played like in the Netflix.
Like that.
She was just in and out of those shows. Yeah. But back to these guys. So we've talked about the season final, and all we really talked about is Kingpin, right? We don't really care about the others, but I thought the fight between Hawkeye and Elena was pretty cool and touching. And finally, they got that kind of sorted out.
Finally broke through. Finally. Understand. Yeah, now fighting on the ice. I wonder if they actually shot there at Rockefeller Plaza. Thinking.
Well, I guess it's really easy to green screen that in now, or whatever they call it, default.
It is. Look convincing, though. But yeah, they take care of the Tracksuit Mafia. Everything, man. It's a fun show. It's the fun show.
The mum at the end going, "Oh, is this what we do? Arrest your mothers on like on Christmas."
You had somebody killed. What the fuck? What was she expecting her daughter just to be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine.
Not only killed, but you hit it right on the head, didn't you? Like she framed her fiance.
Yeah, and tried to get Hawkeye killed as well by hiring a fucking Black Widow. Nuts.
Yes.
I'm happy she got a comeuppance.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how they're going to use Kate again.
So we don't know if there's going to be another season of this. Whether it's just going to be Kate then gets her own show. Whether he comes back. Obviously, the ending. There's a load of questions around Linda Cardellini's character now, right? Where she gets the little watch from Shield.
Yeah, that she's a Shield agent.
Yep. So people are now saying that she's Mockingbird, who was played by, I'll just make sure I get this girl's name right now, Adriana Padalecki, who is the first officer on the Orville. Do you remember they were written out as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they were so popular, they did a backdoor pilot for like a spin-off, and then the spin-off never happened.
Yeah, so this basically is a nail in the coffin for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. then to be part of that universe.
Well, it's like there is an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's just not you lot, which is such a shame. Because The actress that played Mockingbird in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really good, but I really want Coulson back.
Yeah, Coulson. I like the other chick, Sky. One to play Sky.
Yeah, they were all good. I mean, the two like nerd scientists.
I did like them.
Minghua, she was really good as cool in the role as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they were all cool.
They were. It is a shame, man. Damn shame. But yeah, thumbs up for this season. Had a lot of fun. It surprised me. Definitely went on to be one of my favorite of the Disney Plus shows, Marvel shows.
I mean, it was a strong finisher. I'll give it that. It's strong. It finished strong. I still think it kind of limped through. Still behind Loki. Still behind WandaVision.
You're insane. I love those other shows, but it's hard to compare them for me personally because it feels like a completely different genre for me. This is a fun action show with sprinkled in comedy. Those were more heartfelt, abstract superhero properties.
Is that the problem now? Like, did I feel there was no stakes or low stakes in this, and you're just kind of like, why am I watching this?
Possibly because those had bigger stakes that were universe affecting, whereas this was just a lot more ground level. And maybe you're at the point now where you can't be satisfied with ground level storytelling. You need it to be a world universe destroying.
Exactly. But do Marvel now have a little bit of an issue, right? Because if you hadn't seen, say, Black Widow, you wouldn't understand what's going on with Yelena. Is this going to become one of those sort of things now? You've got to watch everything to completely understand everything.
They do a good job of explaining those things because they did. She started out as a mysterious character, but then they did explain that, this is Yelena. She's a Black Widow's sister. So if you hadn't seen the film, you'd know. It's explained, it's laid out. But it is a benefit to watch everything. And then, for the most part, people do.
Bit of retconning going on there as well, because Clint goes like, she used to talk about you all the time, and I'm trying to think in the film. I don't remember that once.
As off camera.
In Budapest.
Yeah. Love it. Thumbs up. Hey. So, trailers. What do we get?
Got a couple of trailers this week. I haven't put on the Book of Boba Fett because that's going to just hit tomorrow. So we thought, we'll just watch that and then comment on that next week.
I've stayed away from Batman. I'm going to say that now. I just don't want to see no more. After trailer 2, I don't care. My enjoyment of Batman comes first.
Right, should we talk about the Batman one first then? I'll tell you what. I watch it and I just kind of think, why are people wetting themselves over this? It's just like, I look at that and it just seems,
Really?
I'm just like, I mean, I've never really had the affinity for Batman that other people have.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at that and I was like, you need to watch the trailer already and tell me like I'm wrong.
What is it you didn't like? Explain. Is it?
There's just not like I had to watch it. And all I keep thinking is we're gonna get another movie about Batman brooding about like his parents dying, aren't we?
Yeah.
Again, they're just gonna do that again. Oh, like for half the film.
Well, interesting side Batman news. Michael Keaton's apparently going to be in Batgirl.
Yeah, apparently Ben Affleck is no more the main Batman.
They're keeping Keaton around. Well, after what Affleck said last week about not wanting to do any more IPs and stuff, so it sounds like he's sick of it all.
Do you not kind of think it would have made more sense to get the Patterson to be filling that role?
Doesn't fit the universe, though, isn't it? This is grounded real life Nolan-esque Batman, whereas that is still in that fantasy.
Oh, are you saying that side's the campy side and this side's like the gritty and the dark side?
Yeah, basically. The people that make these films aren't interested in doing the other shit. They're artists.
Yeah. Okay, so Eddie doesn't want to give you the thoughts on like the big film from next year by not watching the trailer. That's terrible, Eddie. Uncharted. Honestly, having seen the second trailer,
terrible.
It just looks so generic.
It does. It's
like you take the word Uncharted out of there, and it'll just be like some buddy comedy action flick.
They tried to redeem it by giving Wahlberg the trademark Sully moustache right at the very end, but it's too little, too late. It just don't work. It's terrible.
Yeah, I've got to say, like you look at that and think, oh yeah, I'm not venturing out the cinema to watch that. I'll wait till it's on Netflix or whatever.
Nope.
No.
And one that we skipped off from last week, I forgot what.
Yes, because we had so much stuff last week, so I accidentally on purpose completely forgot to add this. But How I Met Your Father. I cannot believe
Another
at the
generic trope.
speed. There's the speed. We only spoke about like this bit was greenlit only a few months ago, and then we got a date, and now we've got a trailer, and it's literally going to be here in like two and a bit weeks.
And it just shows you that the low quality of these fucking sitcoms nowadays. They just churn them out. Any old shit. They have a writer's room of like 20 people, and they just churn this crap out.
I've got to say, I went back. I watched the very first promo of How I Met Your Mother, and that was terrible. So that first promo is no indicator as to what the show will eventually be like.
I have no faith in this, Mo. Is the original when the original people, writers, involved in
this? Oh,
this?
yeah, the two showrunners are. Who created the original. So, while the trailer might not like hit any highs, like I said, it's like the first one of How I Met Your Mum wasn't particularly great. But there's enough in me to say, yep, I want to watch this. And like I said, I love cheesy, trashy sitcoms. My only fear is it sounds like there's no laughter track, which I think is a bit of a shame because that's going to, because the original one does have a laughter track.
Sometimes I find it hard to go back to older sitcoms now, even ones that I loved, because I notice laughter tracks so much more than I did back in the day when I was watching these shows originally when they were airing. It just stands out so much to me that it just takes me out.
But the ones that have it, have you ever watched one of those shows without the laughter track? Like I think Red Dwarf on one of the seasons, it's actually got an option to watch without the laughter track, and it is strange. It's really strange.
Oh yeah, you can't switch from one to the other, but yeah, you just notice it compared to ones where it's, where they have the little bit at the beginning where this was recorded in front of a live studio audience. Yeah. Then you feel it more organic when you have the occasional other random laugh come out.
And you kind of feel as though you're not sitting there watching this by yourself, like you're in an audience. Especially when you got two rear speakers and you can hear the laughter coming out from behind you.
It always sounds so bad though, so canned.
It doesn't matter. It's part of the experience.
Did you ever hear we must have talked about this on this, that for years, for decades, laughter tracks were controlled by one dude who had the laughter track. And he would just go around machine for all the studios and wow, what a racket for decades.
That was great, yes.
Mad.
I'm actually, honestly, New Year, I'm really looking forward to this.
Good luck. Let me know if it's any good.
You'll be watching it too, Eddie.
Let's get into the movies. First of the big two. Adam McKay's Don't Look Up. Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, and a whole bunch of others. Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, Kate Blanchett. You got the synopsis in front of you?
I have indeed. Right. So two low-level astronomers must go on a giant meteor tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth.
Yeah. Basically an environmental movie wrapped up in a comedy about an asteroid destroying the Earth.
It is very much a environmental film, right? However, it was supposed to start filming in early 2020. It got delayed. They filmed it in late 2020, right? And as I was watching it, I was like, you could take out the environmental allegory and just replace it with COVID, right?
Yeah.
So it would absolutely work. And this is, if you look at it that way, it's almost like a meteor is an even more sillier premise, right? A meteor coming to destroy the Earth. Possible, but it just seems like such a silly thing. And then you have people that are don't look up.
It shows you what this society, where it is and where it's going. It's getting even worse. Like, it's a spoof on it all, but it's accurate because this is where we're at.
It was done so well as well. Like,
good. It would happen. If there's a meteor, there would be people that were like, it's fake. This is a government conspiracy. Don't look up would be a slogan that they would. It's just insane. Do
you not think that's such a sad indictment of
in the West,
the intelligence? I don't think so. I think if you look at like what the reactions to COVID across the globe,
totally agree. But we're the worst. I think
you're getting that everywhere.
The added social media element.
What made it even more interesting was, like how with COVID they're talking about lockdowns versus the destruction that we've done to the economy. In this, it was like the destruction of Earth or we could get jobs for like other people.
Yeah, well, that's what they tried to sell it as, but they just wanted those minerals, the money. Oh my God, Mark Rylance, he's his tech billionaire
like
character was perfectly just the way that they just can't talk in public, the way they don't want to listen to any criticism. It was
Hammer. Did you just call me a
spoilers, by the way?
man? Oh,
will be spoilers. We have to talk about spoilers.
This film seems to be a very Marmite movie. People are either loving it or hating. People are so. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, critics rating is 55% at the moment. Audience score is 77. But if you start to go and drill down in the audience, you're seeing comments like it's too preachy, it's too on the nose, it's not subtle. Leonardo DiCaprio got paid like $30 million for it, essentially as an environmental film.
Do you think that because they don't hide the fact that a lot of the characters which are the worst, that represent the worst of humankind, tend to be framed as being like right-wing Republican types?
They never actually go into that in the film.
They
though,
don't,
right?
but it's
they never
obviously
talk about
is.
left. They never talk about right.
But it's obviously presented when they go into the TV shows that are the right wingers, the protesters.
I mean,
so like obvious. You can't hide it.
There are some
characteristics with "Don't Look Up"
on that side. Jesus, that bit at the end with Ron Perlman. That said it all. Right?
Yeah.
Like
there
when
you
the
go.
gun trying to shoot the comic down.
Yeah, these freaking off-taste comments that he would keep making, and it'd be like, he's from an older time. He's from an older time. So you think those may be where a lot of those critics or the public that were rating it down lean in terms of it being preachy, because they don't want to be, they don't see themselves as villains. So why would they want this movie to them?
Whenever I see comments that says, "Why is this movie star talking about politics?" I don't want to hear. I always get the feeling that this person is saying that because this person doesn't agree with their politics,
and they feel vilified for having the beliefs they have.
So there is a possibility of that. I watched it and I was just fascinated.
Yeah.
I was like
frustrated. I was feeling it. I was feeling that frustration that Jennifer Lawrence was going through.
Yeah, exactly. And then the way that the media then makes her look like the mad woman.
Yeah. With all the memes.
Or the fact that they were just more interested in Ariana Grande's character, like and the love affair she was having with Kid Cudi or whatever.
Kid Cudi,
I was a Kid Cudi.
DJ Cello.
Absolutely brilliant satire. Just although people say this is not satire, it's just on the nose. It's because you don't realize how much of a satire real society's actually become.
Yeah, we have gotten this ridiculous. Even when there are legitimate news that break, it always just gets buried under dumb shit.
Yeah.
Even just all the disclosure of all the UFO stuff is an example. That should be massive. That should be the main talking point on all talk shows, but no one gives a fuck. It's all about cussing Jenner and Kanye.
Quality cast though, right? I thought Meryl Streep was great as the
Lady Trump.
As the president.
And Jonah Hill, I was actually hated him in this because he was so good at that, at playing a head of staff / son.
Yeah, he was brilliant. Especially that bit where he's sitting on the sofa and he's going like, "I'm feeling so stressed out from the way you're talking."
God, that meeting.
I think the other thing that this film actually tries to say is that our institutions just aren't geared up to essentially handle like these big events.
The dumbest of us are the ones that have the power. They're the politicians. Because they don't really care about doing the jobs they're hired to do. They just care about getting themselves
all about the midterms and the next election. Yeah, exactly.
My day. And Leonardo DiCaprio's characters not fall, but he's slumped down into getting pulled into being a sex symbol and the media darling.
The sexy scientist.
And then coming back at the end, but that was funny.
I thought that was a lovely, lovely scene at the end, right? Like you're kind of thinking, you're seeing scenes like in cities where there's looting and robbing and all that kind of stuff going on, and you're just thinking, why? The Earth is about to like get destroyed. Yeah. Why are you stealing flat screen TVs? What are you going to do with them?
Which would happen. You know that bloody would happen.
Absolutely.
People are just dumb.
I love the way that this family were just sitting there, like holding hands, saying grace, sharing one last meal together.
I was so happy that I was worried leading into this film that I wanted it to end with the destruction being destroyed. I wanted it to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Because I said if it doesn't happen, then like the whole film's pointless.
Yeah. They were right. The idiots were right.
Did you see the 2 post-credit sequences?
I did. I was going to ask you if you saw them. I was like, I'll probably miss these.
Oh, that first one was superb.
Remind me again, what was the first one?
So basically 22,500 years later. And there's that line that the tech genius says, because like during the film, towards the end, like, you know how he says, like, we can predict how you're going to die.
When you're going to die,
and he says to the president, you're going to die of this animal whose name he just makes up. I can't remember what it was.
Understand it. And then
there's a moment in my mind, I was like, surely it's going to click to everyone that this guy's just a complete nutcase. But sure enough, in the post-credit sequence,
he gets attacked by this massive emu-looking alien thing. I think they should have. You see it in the very last seconds that there's a whole herd of them coming, but I think they should have shown a little more just to show that they're going to get wiped out because they're the worst of us. The ones that survive are the worst of us. The old, out of shape corporate guys that how are they going to survive on their own?
All chosen because they had money and stuff, right?
Exactly.
And you kind of think, what's your money going to do for you there?
Exactly. Not a damn thing.
And then the second one was Jonah Hill looks like he may well be the last man on Earth.
But still getting on his fucking phone and taking selfies and trying to post it somewhere. Cockroach. That shows that he's literally a cockroach that survives.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good analogy. I hadn't actually thought of that one. Loved it. I thought this was an incredibly enjoyable film. It shows the worst of us. I think it's a very comic look at the stupidity of our race. Yeah.
And it's our inevitable doom. Whether it is through environmental fuck-ups or a meteor, or even an alien invasion. They could do They could do this whole film about the same sort of thing about alien invasion and how all the nation would just be vying for their own self-interests. It's just sad. Where are we going, guys? What the fuck? It does make me wanna. I've been watching a lot of videos of people who are living self-sufficient in the forest in like little wooden huts and shit. That just.
That you wouldn't be able to do anything for a meteor. You'd have to like build an underground.
Yeah, not for meteor, but like for flood or something. But yeah, it just makes you feel like, damn, you don't wanna. Even if it's in the dying months, like 6 months. Think about it. If it came out, we got 6 months left. How long until everything falls apart? Where there's no electricity because no one wants to go to work. There's no food on the shelves because why would they bother?
Well, I mean, if it was 6 months and there was a meteor, you would expect the government to say, right, we're mounting a plan. This is what we're going to be doing. Right. So that kind of thing potentially should keep society going.
We saw that they're idiots. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. British government ain't going to do nothing. And it means we're ever trusting the Northern government or the Chinese and Russians to do it because they're the ones with the space.
Well, did you see that? Like, so the Russians and the Chinese and the Indians tried to do a counter, but like they were sabotaged.
Oh, did they actually say they were sabotaged?
Well, I think that's the implication, right? As in, like, the tech genius just had or the tech billionaire just had so much of influence that he didn't, obviously, because his whole thing was, I want to mine the meteor.
True. And his speech, when he was telling everyone about it, about mankind will rise up and be greatness and no wars and self-peace. Ryland was great. He's an underrated actor, man. Even though I think he has won an Oscar at some point.
Brilliant.
Yeah, best supporting actor. Okay. So
what would you give that then?
Oh, a 4.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. A rock solid 4.
Solid 4. Thumbs up, loved it. Did you notice Chris Evans?
Chris Evans? What? Which Chris Evans?
Captain America Chris Evans.
No, okay. You always have to ask, because obviously the other Chris Evans as well, right? Ginger.
Oh. We're in a fucking movie. I always forget about that guy. Jesus. I didn't notice him because of fucking massive glasses. Apparently Matthew Perry is in this as well. I don't remember seeing him anywhere.
I do not remember seeing Chris Evans in this at all.
He was the movie star that was doing the interview that had the "Don't Look Up and Look Down" pin.
Was he the director? This is why we've done the Destroyer or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That whole look up, don't look down, don't look up type. That was just it just made me so like, ugh.
Yeah. So fucking bad. But when they finally do, they can actually see it in the sky. And they were like, they lied to us.
Lied to us.
Fucking God. All right, let's move on. So the big one for this week, Matrix Resurrections. I'm gonna let you start, man.
Let me start.
Actually break down there. So let's read it out first.
So, Matrix Resurrection. Return to a world of two realities. One, everyday life. The other, what lies behind it. To find out if his reality is a construct, to truly know himself, Mr. Anderson will have to choose to follow the White Rabbit once more.
So you went back and watched Reloaded and
Revolutions
again. How did they hold up?
So I haven't seen those, like, I think since the cinema, quite possibly. I might have watched them once on like DVD or something. I thought the second one has aged not bad, actually. It's got some very interesting stuff in there. It's got that's got that beautiful chase. It's got some really good music in it as well.
The Chateau fight, for me personally, is my favorite fight in the whole thing.
Yeah. And there's also a track called like Chateau on the soundtrack, which plays at that point. It's really good. It's got Monica Bellucci in that dress. I remember watching that originally, and I think I might have actually gone to the cinema with Salem to watch that when it originally came out. I remember coming out and we were all like, what the hell did the architect just say? But actually now watching it all these years later, it was much easier to understand him and actually make sense of what he was saying.
It is, so, yeah. The vis-a-vis. I think vis-a-vis, people were like, what the fuck is vis-a-vis?
I think maybe the concepts back then were just too much. Now we're kind of very used to all these kinds of things. Number 3, though.
But did you pick up on something that frustrates the hell out of me when I watch people reacting to it on YouTube? That a lot of people never pick up on the Agent Smith downloading into that guy's brain.
I don't think I spotted that.
You know the guy in the real world, the Agent Smith in the real world that attacks Neo.
Which film are we talking about now?
Both. He's in both of them.
Oh, okay, right. Oh yeah. So in the second and the third one, isn't like Agent Smith is downloading himself into like all sorts of people.
Yeah, but that's in the Matrix. But in the real world, there's a guy that people always write off as being a saboteur.
Oh yeah.
But they never realized that Smith took him over.
But they never really explained that, because now you're saying so something that exists in the Matrix can now exist outside the Matrix?
No, because he was replicating himself. He did it to that guy. In his version of himself in the Matrix took him over, which basically, because it's your mind in it that's in the Matrix. Yeah. So basically took over his mind, and then when he downloaded back, unplugged, Smith was in his brain, took him over.
I mean, there's other things that happen in that third one. It's like, well, suddenly Neo has got magical abilities outside the Matrix as well.
That was an interesting concept that I always took to be in that even the real world was really in the Matrix, that the machines were just, that was how they...
That can be the only logical answer, right?
Yeah, but it all falls apart now because of this fucking
we'll get to that in a minute. Number 3 came across to me as a really good bad movie. Like it's got like nothing to do with like the previous Matrix. It's like you've completely like lost sight of the Matrix, and now you've gone off and started some other tangent.
They got two potentials. There was touches of it in the second one, but it just goes full hog in their own little going up their own ass. Yeah, with the way they write and their philosophies and metaphors and all that shit.
But there's none of that stuff. It literally is just like a bad sci-fi movie. That third one,
concepts in it that they feel that we're so smart,
I must go to the city. And then he goes there, and like all the little drones are like turning into like that big face and stuff. But I'm really glad that I did it, because there is so much of stuff that calls back to that I probably would have missed had I just not watched like the films like very recently.
I'm gonna guess that you enjoyed Resurrection.
There are some elements of this film that I did enjoy. There are some elements that I didn't enjoy. I'd say the biggest problem for this film is they need another editor. The film is ages too long. There is stuff that they should just edit out of this film, and I'm sure with a shorter cut, it will be a better film.
I think the only way to fix this film is just to delete the files, everything they filmed, because I thought it was terrible.
The first half an hour, I actually really enjoyed. I really loved the whole concept of like he couldn't distinguish which is what's real and what's the Matrix, right? That was the whole premise of the first film. But the fact that his memories kept kind of trying to bleed through, I thought that was a very interesting kind of concept. I loved the his therapist, he basically was just the arsehole character that you wanted to punch, who's essentially now the architect.
Yeah, he's the architect now.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of them, man. I didn't like any of them. I just didn't like I didn't mind the little bubblings of the love story between Neo and
that. Yeah,
Trinity.
I having watched, because I completely forgot how number 3 ended. I felt so cheated at the end of that film.
Yeah,
I thought this film is so rubbish. At least you could have given us a happy ending.
Yeah, I don't mind their little flirtations that they couldn't really understand their connections to each other.
Yeah,
I didn't believe for a minute that she was even aware of the game that he created, 20 years ago from his perspective. But we later find out it's like 60 years since the Matrix events. And I liked Jessica Henwick, Bugs. I think she was a strong character, but everyone else I couldn't stand. Like the new Agent Smith, fucking hated it. I hated their callback lines that they had compared to Spider-Man, which somehow did the callback stuff, but it seemed organic in No Way Home. But in this, it just felt so forced. And the new
did you not like the Frenchman's cameo?
No, it was horrible. They were all dressed. Him and his rest of his guys were dressed like Circus du Soleil characters. It was just bad, like steampunk Circus du Soleil.
He was literally dressed as a tramp because,
but it was all colourful tramps. They were all with neon tassels hanging off of them and shit. It was like, what the fuck is this? And the action was rubbish. There wasn't a single action scene that stood out to me as being that good that I wanted to rewatch. I'm like, so we know which one of the Wachowskis was responsible for shooting the action then, because it ain't this one.
Well, no, I mean the other thing you got to remember is that those first batch of films
had choreography though. This isn't. My issue isn't even with the choreography, it's how it's shot. It was all close up, it was heavily edited, it was like a Bourne movie. So it was
but I would imagine that what's his name? Wing Poo?
Yeah. But
I would imagine he would have had, because he would have advised it. It's the Chinese way is to shoot differently. Like if you watch Chinese action and American action, they shoot in a very, very different way.
He would have advised them to shoot it like that way. But I'm sure if you look at their other films, they usually are pretty clear on how the action is presented. Like you can see it. With this, you couldn't fucking see shit.
Actually, just like watching that, number 2, where you've got like the Agent Smith fight in the playground. My God, I was watching that and I was just like, that is great. It's a great action sequence.
Yeah, but it aged bad though, man. Those CGI, come on, they look terrible, man. It starts out good, but once you really
don't think the CGI has.
Yes, when Neo starts like spinning, running around, it looks so. It's like Grand Theft. It turns into a Grand Theft Auto halfway through.
So is that your barometer? Like when it starts to look old,
it has to look good.
Oh, come on!
Like the Chateau holds on a lot more because they weren't trying to do CG Neo everywhere.
Don't do a Salim. Don't do a like a no. Come on. No.
What do you feel of Yahya Abdul?
You know what? I did you understand the reason they recast Morpheus?
Well, he said that
I know he gives an explanation.
I'm presuming they couldn't get Lawrence back.
I think he said in interviews that he hadn't even been asked.
Well, but maybe because he has aged quite a bit and he does still need to do action. Maybe they feel like it's kind of time they have to get someone who can still physically do this. It
didn't have much.
He did quite a bit. He's running a lot. It's quite a bit.
He had a pretty okay, he had that kung fu scene where in the training room.
Yeah, and running with Bugs when they're getting away from the agents. He does quite a bit here and there. But one thing I did like is how they showed programs existing outside of the Matrix with like the weird little beads that would come up and give him that weird little.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yep. I know Silent was saying that apparently the appearance of Priyanka Chopra completely took him out of the film. Why?
He hates Bollywood. For the guy who's supposed to be the Bollywood guy, deep down he hates it.
was like, why? She's worked really hard at her accent, and it was a real. I like the way that they linked that back to like the little girl in number 3. Yeah.
Problem is, she was a Disney-fied or Muppet Show version of a Stingray in the real world, which just looked goofy to me. I didn't like these films, man. This whole meta shit. We're so smart. We're not going to do a sequel. Aren't sequels shit? But our sequels cool.
I got to say, I actually enjoyed a lot of the meta stuff. I know loads of people have been complaining about, when he starts talking about like, well, Warner Brothers wants to do another trilogy with or without us. I was like, I like that because that's really giving commentary on like the movie industry of today.
Yeah, but then make a good film out of it and not whatever it is. It didn't feel like a complete film.
There is a lot lacking. I wouldn't say I know like Silence said he walked out like of his screening. I wouldn't say I dislike the film that much, but there is something definitely amiss here.
It just and like I'm not even that mad about them just changing the fact that it's not just Neo is the one now. It's basically the one is like two halves of a single coin, so it's Trinity and Neo, whereas as important as each other. And now that she has powers, even I was kind of right when I predicted that.
I kind of wonder if they're using that to set up for a sequel, right? Like there are others now.
Well, apparently they've claimed, or the Wachowski claimed that this wasn't a story that was meant to be continued, but they said that before. But it's bombed, so even if it was intended,
that don't stop the Wachowskis. Like, which one of their films since The Matrix?
Some sort of fucking don't know what black magic they possess that they keep making these big budget films.
Their films don't need to make money. Like someone will keep giving them money.
It isn't. I don't know. After this, I just don't know if they can, man. This got to be it. Has to be it.
I will say, like,
Smith, the youngest looking 90-something-year-old I've ever seen in my life. What was the point with that character?
I'm glad I watched the sequels because I would have been completely lost as to who that character would have been otherwise.
Naomi. She wasn't good.
I will say though, just to give some positives, I thought Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss, they just felt like they'd been playing these characters for years and didn't like miss a beat. Like if you watched like the original trilogy and then go watch this, they recapture their characters like perfectly.
Yeah, did the best with what they had. I'm honest, it just wasn't. If you want to continue on, the Matrix, then go play Matrix Awakenings on a PlayStation 5 or Xbox. A little tech demo, 5-minute tech demo, which is way more engrossing than what this movie was.
The only other thing I guess to say about this is oh god, I've completely forgot what I was going to say now. Something to do with Trinity and her. I also like that because I'm watching this and I'm thinking, in the last film they both died.
Yeah,
like how are they alive again? But they do go through and explain that, and it's a very elaborate kind of plan, isn't it? The way they've brought them back to life here.
They re-engineered them and brought that so they can literally bring biological creatures back to life in the machines. The technology is that
but
far
it's
advanced.
Almost like, but why would you do that? I know they give a reason.
It's not a satisfying reason. It's just...
No, but it's surely like the powers that be would say, "Are you crazy?"
What did you think of the new Agent Smith, Jonathan Groff?
I thought he was supposed to obviously be a commentary on like on society today, right? He's supposed to be like not the agent, but I guess it's the cool guy who is the Instagram model or the influencer or.
But did they even need to bring that character back? Was it even worth it?
I guess you could have just called him anything, right?
Yeah. Because Smith is supposed to be this virus that keeps starting to multiply and then gets defeated. Why is he such a necessity that he has to exist, that he needs to come back to the Matrix? I know they try and give an explanation that he's connected to Neo in a way, but
you'll probably find out in the next film that it's not just Neo and Trinity, that Anderson is the third part of that coin.
Yes, it's the Trinity, the literal Trinity. That was why she's called Trinity. That was the secret all along. You planned this from the beginning.
Oh no! I do love the way when she goes, And you call me Tiffany. I hate that name.
And it just felt like a remix of the first film, like a tribute. So many of the beats of it, not just the fact they were showing footage from the old one, but just the beats of how the story spanned out.
Yep.
It was
and they literally played the trailer song like during the film as well.
Yeah. It's just. Yeah,
do you think this will be a grower on you over the years?
I don't. There was just nothing. For something to be a grower, there has to be things that I can notice from the first viewing that I can recognize as being quality, but there was nothing in this stuff.
So in a year or two, if and when they announce Matrix 5, will you be like, I don't care how good that trailer is?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I would be so surprised if they do keep going with this. So
do you last question about this then, do you feel whoever cut the trailer for this film should be given some kind of award?
The second one especially, because that really sold me.
The one that really got us all interested in it.
It's a shame. Do you think this would have been better if Neo and Trinity, if they had to exist in this film, it should have been as like a background? Because you know how you had Bugs and her tech guy were like observing the events.
I don't know, because that's what
that she should have been the lead. He needed to go in a different direction and not tell this particular story, because it was done. It was complete. They had their story. They died. That should have been it.
I get what you're saying there. The problem with that would be we would then end up with what they've done in Star Wars, right? So they've done 3 Star Wars films where they've kept like the main characters at the back, but all we really wanted to see was the final episode of The Mandalorian. do you know what I mean? It's like that's what we wanted to see in those 3 films, and I feel if they'd done that here, we would probably say, "Wow, what is this crap? Like he's in it, but he's not in it."
If it was good, if it's still like, because what the Star Wars didn't have is a good script that it was all built on. I don't know, maybe because I liked Bugs.
I thought Jesse Henwick
and I feel sorry
brought a lot to this role.
Actually missed out on Shang-Chi and a spin-off Disney Plus show because it's the 10 Rings in it, which she would have been the head of because he was going to be the sister for this.
Hopefully, I mean, like people have been rating her in this, so hopefully she'll come out on top of this and she'll go on to bigger and better things.
Fingers crossed.
It's a bit of an odd one. It's like again, it just brings me back to like if you watch the other films, they're all just a tad shy over 2 hours. This thing's almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
you can kind of see the problem there. Like a lot of these films just don't need to be that long.
Self-indulgent.
Yeah, I think the whole Neo and Trinity thing just took too long to get going as well.
Yeah, because Trinity only really truly becomes Trinity in like the last 15 minutes or something.
Yeah,
so bit late for that. I wonder what the other Wachowski thinks of this.
He's probably thinking, I'm so glad I didn't partake.
My name ain't involved.
He's probably saying, I'll show you how it's done. I'll come back for the next one and do it myself. She will come back and say,
both of them are she.
This is how, maybe she'll take the next one. And then they'll come back together as a combined sister for a third one.
I heard the other one doesn't want to do big budget stuff no more. They're like working on smaller, like indie style stuff.
Well, she's probably seen the writing on the wall, right? Like no one's going to give us large, big budgets anymore.
Definitely not now.
No. Although people do say, like, I'll be honest, I've not seen a lot of their other films, and a lot of the criticism that gets leveled around Hollywood today is that there are no original films. And when I hear about things like Jupiter Ascending, like that sounds like a pretty original idea.
It is kind of, and Cloud Atlas really was.
Yeah,
and I think both of those are books. I think at least one of them was. But yeah, they were different, but they were bad. Oh my. I want you to watch at least one of them, Mo, please. You still got a week off. One of them you can squeeze in.
Which one is less worse than the other?
The one that's the most interesting, you could argue, is Cloud Atlas. That's the one where it's like this anthology of stories that kind of kind of twist around each other. Tom Hanks is in it.
If I can find one of those two, either on Netflix, Disney, Amazon, I might consider giving it a go.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks is also capable of making bad films.
I know Finch is out there, but like I said, they're bad. They just don't. They've lost their mojo. I think it was
Is Speed Racer worth watching?
I didn't like it. I know a lot of people that do like it, but it became, that's when they really kind of fell off a cliff. It wasn't even with Resolutions for me where they really went crazy. It was with Speed Racer.
Can you just imagine like you and me were sitting in like, was it 99, just saying we've just watched The Matrix, right? Discussing it.
Good.
Can you even think that like the visionaries behind that would be like, that's the biggest it will ever get for them?
It baffles me how that's even possible, that they can keep on making all this bad shit. Like Sense8 has its moments, as the Netflix show they did, but that too is just I couldn't stick with that. But they started off with Bound, the sort of lesbian thriller, which is it's a good film. I really like that film. And then The Matrix. Never seen it. Worth watching.
Yeah. But like The Matrix is like one of those sort of films.
Two great films.
It's a generation defining film that you're still talking about like decades later.
True. Unreal 5 forked out money to make their tech demo based around it, hoping that the film was going to be good. Damn it. I'm
sure people will still flock to that if they bring it out as a proper game, right? Because it just looks so impressive.
It's fucking fun, man. It's for 5 minutes worth of shit and walking around and seeing the cities. We're getting some technical talk here, but this is Matrix Awakenings. Just the city, like it could be used in a film as like the background because it looks that detailed and looks that good.
Yeah.
Like, the text there, man. We can have some amazing shit down the road. So what do you rate it?
Right.
What do you give it?
Oh, I'm gonna give this something like a 2.5. No, 2.5.
We don't do points more. It's either
do
solid star. It's a half.
Absolutely. You say that every week, but we do that. You've done it yourself.
I don't remember that. I thought you liked it more than that. Okay. I you to say like 3.5 or something.
I don't want to give it a 3. Although having said that, I'm kind of think I probably enjoyed it more than James Bond's like No Time to Die.
Wow. That is just it's just travesty, man. Okay. Nah, for me, 2. Nothing more.
It's do you think like you'll ever sit down and watch this again?
Oh man. Maybe if I decide to do another Matrix night or 2-day a weekend or something, maybe I'll dip into it just to kind of see where it goes. But I doubt I will watch the whole thing. I might just jump around. I can't, like I'm happy I didn't watch this in the cinema. Because I would, that would have been a bad day. So I keep watching on water. Okay,
that'll be interesting. Yeah, right. So we've got our end of year show coming up soon.
That's it.
Top 5 TV, top 5 movies.
Top 5 TV. Yes, sir.
Right, folks. If you want to get hold of us, you can email us at TATM
and let us know your top 5.
Repeat that then. If you want to let us know your top 5 or anything else, or like the films you're looking forward to next year, email us at tatmpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on Twitter, we're talking movies 3, and if you want to follow us on Instagram, we are talking at the movies.
Oh, we should actually draw up a little list of what's coming out next year then, as well, to add to that show. What to look forward to.
I'm sure there's probably like a website that we could probably just link to.
Yeah.
Because it's probably already catalogued.
Yeah, true. All right, guys. So for me, the race.
And me, Mo.
See you guys next week.
See you, folks.
Later.